Hello and welcome to the Business Today show. I'm Udayan Mukherjee. Not very long ago, Western consumers would scoff at spirits made out of India. They just wouldn't believe that India can produce good whiskies or good gins or good rums or good vodka. But all that has changed over the last few years. First, we had a few Indian whiskies which made ripples in the Western world. Then some craft gins got launched. And now the company which is taking huge strides in this space is the homegrown Radico Khaitan. With its brands like Rampur Single Malt and Jaisalmer Craft Gin, it's actually creating quite a bit of excitement among Western audiences. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Abhishek Khaitan, Managing Director and CEO of Radico Khaitan on the Business Today show. Abhishek, great to see you in and thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Udayan, and great to have you back in the media again. Thanks a lot, Udayan.
Thank you. And, as I was saying, these days there's a lot of excitement in the Western world with the Indian homegrown brands. But for somebody who's been a big bull on branded liquors, even someone like you, are you surprised at the kind of excitement and the reception that some of your premium brands have got in the Western world?
See, actually, if you see how the Western world is behaving, even if you see the wine industry, earlier it was only French wines, but the new age wines are taking over. As far as malts also, if you see, like the Japanese malts have become so popular worldwide. That is why after achieving success in India, in 2016, we launched our Rampur Indian Single Malt. And today, the kind of response what we have got from the Western world, it's absolutely amazing. And in fact, we've launched 7 expressions of Rampur, and our most expensive expression is the Chairman Reserve, which we are retailing at $2,000 a bottle. And the demand is so much that we cannot supply. And it's absolutely proud to see the Indian single malts getting such response in the Western world.
It's not just a qualitative appreciation, Abhishek, either. The kind of pricing that you're achieving compared to some of the well-established malts in the Western world, that is also a bit of surprising because one would say that a new entrant into the malt market like India would price at a discount, but you're actually able to achieve a pricing premium, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right because we've done a lot of there are a lot of write-ups about our single malts, the quality of malts what we are producing. So people want to experiment, and like if you see, our 7 expressions are all unique. Like our Asava is matured in a wine cask. Then we've come out with a Jugalbandi, which is priced at $400 a bottle. So the various expressions which we have come have a unique character and a unique taste, which I think the Western world is really liking it.
But what you said a while back is also interesting, that demand for your products is outstripping supply, which brings me to the supply point. Will you be able to find enough stock to supply or cater to this demand, or will that always be a bit of a struggling point?
See, that's a very good question. In fact, about 6 years back when we launched, we had invested a lot into our malt maturation and malt plants, which should get operational in the coming year, and hopefully our volume should triple in this current fiscal. And we have again invested in our malt maturation facility, and we hope that in the next 4 to 5 years the volume should triple from today's level. But the demand for our single malts is really encouraging. So I don't know whether we'll be able to keep pace with the demand. Right now, even India itself is such a huge market, and we have not been able to address the Indian market also.
But one had always the impression that malts could not be brought readily to the market. I mean, they had to be aged for 10 years, 12 years, sometimes even more, 18 years. And therefore, that process limits the kind of supply which can hit the market. Has that changed over the years?
No, it has to mature and it takes a long time. That is what we said that, last about 6 years back, we had invested in our capex, which we will get the fruits now. And in fact, if you see the angel share, in India, the malt matures much faster because the angel share in Scotland is about 2%, whereas the angel share in India is about 12%. So the malt matures 4 times faster in India compared to the Western world.
Would you be open to acquisitions of smaller distilleries in the Western world to address this supply problem, or is your chosen path to actually do the backward integration and make the malts in India or mature them?
See, our malts are Indian single malts. So our unique selling point is that it is from India. So acquiring a distillery in Scotland dilutes the issue of an Indian single malt. So we would not be doing for that purpose. We would be investing in our own capacities, which we have done already. And as far as acquiring a distillery, we also have our premium spirits like our 8 p.m. Black Whisky, etc., where they use the spirits from abroad. For that, maybe in the future we might look at an opportunity. But for the single malt, it will be purely from India.
It's not just whiskey where you're focusing on the premium branded segment, Abhishek. They say these days that gin is the new whiskey, and you're quite excited about Jaisalmer craft gin and the kind of response it's received in the Western world too, right?
Absolutely. In fact, after Rampur single malt, we launched our Jaisalmer Indian craft gin in 2018, and our Jaisalmer has got a superb response. In fact, it was rated as the top 100 spirits of the world. Plus, it was also rated as the best Asian gin by the Gin Guide Awards. And it has 11 botanicals, out of which 7 are from India. And recently we've launched Jaisalmer Gold, which has 18 botanicals and is priced at about $45 a bottle for a 500 ml. And in fact, we are using saffron as one of the botanicals, which is one of the most expensive ingredients.
So how's Jaisalmer doing compared to some of the other brands
And the
which are
demand has
popular in
been so
India,
much.
like the international brands like the Hendrix of the world? I mean, can you give us some comparable numbers?
See, as far as India goes, I think Jaisalmer has got a superb response. And in fact, I think our market share would be close to 35% in the imported gin market. And the craze for Jaisalmer is growing stronger day by day. And what we are seeing, Indians are proud to consume Indian products. And our pricing is quite good, like it is priced at about 3,600 rupees a bottle, which is much higher than few of the international brands also.
This is interesting, Abhishek, because not very even 7-8 years ago, a lot of Indian consumers actually would seek out Western brands. I mean, a premium brand would have been an imported whiskey brand or an imported gin brand. You're saying something has changed in the mind of the consumer where they don't have that hang up that a great whiskey has to be a Scotch whiskey or whiskey from Scotland. A great gin does not necessarily need to come from outside India.
See, in fact, going back, if you see, gin and tonic was the invention in India only when the Britishers came. So origin of tonic has been from India, and globally, if you see, now people globally want to experiment and they feel the quality of products from India is absolutely at world class. And also, what in Radico we have done, the kind of spirits we are producing is absolutely the best. To give you an example, we had launched Magic Moment Vodka in 2006. That's where our premiumization drive had started. And we are very happy that today is the largest selling vodka in the country. And in fact, we have a market share of 60% across the entire vodka category. And globally, it is the 12th largest selling vodka in the world. And in fact, we are now exporting to 80 countries. And as far as our Rampur and Jaisalmer goes, we are available in 40 countries and 18 duty frees.
Is there any plan to go further up the premium ladder in the vodka space? I mean, launch something which can be comparable to a Grey Goose out there, or at least an absolute vodka in terms of pricing?
See, recently we've launched Dazzle, which is which is a superior, which is better than Magic. Like it's a upper thing of Magic, and that is kind of at the absolute pricing. But definitely going forward in the next couple of years, we have planned to address the super premium market also.
I ask because you're focusing quite a bit on
And if you
these.
see,
Sorry, please complete.
and in fact, like if you see vodka in the global market, 30 to 35% of the global market is vodka. Whereas in India, only when I started the vodka, it was only 2%. Now it is close to about 4%. And seeing the vodka consumers, if you see, are basically women and the younger generation, which if you see India's demographics, we are skewed towards that. So I think there's a huge potential in the vodka category.
What about beer? That also seems to be a large category. Radico has not addressed it so far with the kind of thrust that you have on the spirits end. Is beer part of the equation for you?
Beer is like it's a different industry, and IMFL, like the alcohol industry itself, is so huge, and there is so much of scope of premiumization, and you can have different price points, and your margins are much higher. Whereas in beer, a lot of capex is needed, and you cannot have price differentiation beyond a point. So, as far as Radico is concerned, we never had any plans of beer, nor we will get into beer
Okay.
because it's too competitive.
Fair enough. So give us a sense of how quickly or how fast each of these markets are growing, where you see the biggest opportunity between whiskey, gin and vodka.
No, are you talking for India or you are talking overseas?
Both for your brands.
See, as far as India goes, what we have seen that the premiumization drive is continuously happening. And especially after COVID, people have got used to drinking superior products because that time your institutional sales were less. So people were consuming alcohol in the house, and there they were paying much lesser what they would pay in the institutions. So they've got used to drinking much superior products, and especially with the income levels rising and the aspirations rising, people want to consume better quality products. So we are seeing a huge growth in the premiumization. And as far as the category goes, whiskey is by far the largest category. And but the white spirits are gaining pace very at a faster rate. Like vodka is growing faster than any of the other categories. In fact, in the current year, our vodka has grown by about 35%. And even the whiskey we have been addressing, where we launched our 8 p.m. Premium Black, which in the last we launched it in 2018, and today we are close to about 3 million cases.
No, that's your biggest success
So in
story,
terms of
Abhishek.
growth, I will say white spirits is
That's
number one.
8 p.m. is your biggest success story. So I want to ask, going forward, say if you look out 4 or 5 years, what is going to be the mix of these mass market or semi-premium brands, which are your big volume leaders, versus the top end that you're creating with Rampur and Jaisalmer? What would be the mix like?
See, I'll go on the mix on the P&A side, that is prestige and above. So currently 30% of my volume is prestige and above. And in terms of value, it is 50%. And I feel in the next 5 years, the 30% in terms of volume should be 40%. And in terms of value, it should be 65%. Whereas the luxury brands would not be so much in volumes, but as far as contribution goes, it'll be a large portion of Radico's portfolio.
How large in terms of numbers?
See, right now to give a sense of numbers would be a little difficult for me, but it'll be substantial. It'll be very substantial.
So you see
Because
that
the
as
way we are
a...
experiencing growth in the gin,
Yeah.
we have seven.
Go ahead.
So as we saw about our gin, and we launched 7 expressions of Rampur, and we have lot more products which are in the pipeline in the luxury segments. So it'll be a very good portion as far as the contribution part of Radico goes.
So it has some margin and profitability rub off as well. It's not just to create some prestige and aura around the Radico brand that you're pursuing these the top end of the market.
Absolutely. It's going to be a major portion for our profitability going forward. And especially now with the capacity of Rampur increasing in the current year to 3 times, and in the next about 3 to 4 years, it will go up to about double from this year. So once the volume keeps coming in, I think sales is not an issue. So the profitability also definitely will be much higher for Radico.
Let me ask you a different question. Abhishek, you are launching these prestige brands, but there are lots of smaller companies which are coming out with interesting products. Particularly, I mean, if you go to Goa, there are these craft gins which are coming up. They are not huge in size. And we saw that Greater Than Gin was quite a success before Diageo bought a stake in that company. Have you considered the option of picking up some of these smaller brands, or does it make more sense for you to build rather than buy?
Radico, like personally, and Radico, like we've always believed in innovation. And even if you see our history, when we launched our first brand in 1998, we are the only company which has organically created all the brands. Today we have 5 millionaire brands, and in the coming year, hopefully, we are going to add 2 more millionaire brands. So we'll have total 7 million cases brands in our portfolio. So we believe in organic creation rather than buy. So for us, our passion is to create brands with a unique standing in the market and a very different character. So we would not be looking at acquiring brands. In fact, we will be looking at creating newer segments and newer brands.
The one question which keeps coming up is for Radico, for investors of yours, and they have done quite well with your stock over the last many years, is that as you do this expansion, and you are clearly on a significant expansion mode, could the balance sheet get stretched once again? Because in the last few years, you've actually cut down your debt, which was a problem area, but now no longer is. But as you keep on adding capacity and launching new brands, are your current cash flows enough to drive that expansion, or would you need to load up that balance sheet once again?
If you see, in 2016, we had a peak debt of 960 crores. And last year, our debt was about 160. And in fact, our working capital also, we pumped in about close to 400 crores from internal accruals. So we are totally deleveraged. And going forward, we have doubled our capacity because the demand is so high. So we have increased the capacity in Rampur. We have put a greenfield plant in Sitapur, which would be one of the largest plants in Asia. And going forward, I don't think so debt would be an issue, because in the next 3 to 4 years, we'll be again debt free, because the kind of cash flows the company will throw and the kind of things we are seeing in the future. So debt we don't see as an issue at all.
And the fact that raw material prices have been under pressure, do you see this kind of commodity inflation compressing your margins and profitability, which might lead to a challenge in the servicing of the debt or further repayment of debt going forward?
No, see, all this inflation, etc., are short-term issues. So we are working, and we've got price increases in few of the states, and hopefully we'll get more price increases. And I think going forward with our premiumization drive, in the next couple of years, our EBITDA margin should be in the late teens. And also, we don't see with all this, even the backward integration, what we have done, I think very soon we'll come to the pre-COVID level margins.
I spoke about Greater Than and them selling to Diageo. Is that ever an option for you, Abhishek? If one of the global liquor giants approached you with an offer to buy a part stake in your company or to partner with you, would you ever consider it seriously?
See, I've gone through the biggest struggle of my life, when we had no money and we created brands. And that time also everyone asked me the question, but as of today, in Radico needs no partners at all. And as of now, we do not intend either a partnership with a global firm or selling out. We believe in the India story, and I feel we believe that if we can create a Rampur single malt Jaisalmer craft gin, there's a huge opportunity. And cash is not an issue for our company. So going forward, our aim and passion is to build brands which the world can be proud of. And it comes from the India's stable. That's why if you see, all my brands are named after India, like whether it is a Rampur, whether it is a Jaisalmer. Recently, we have launched Royal Ranthambore. In fact, we'll be the first Indian whiskey to be launched at the Scotch pricing. And the brand has got a tremendous response. So we'll continue doing our effort of creating Indian ethnic brands.
But back in the 90s, when Radico was going through a difficult time, I remember there was some talk of a gentleman named Vijay Mallya being interested in your in your company, in acquiring the company or a stake. Can you tell us how that story went?
No, we've been getting offers, in the 90s from various companies to acquire a stake. And that time we were looking at an option, but I think in the last about 5, 6 years or 7 years, we've not looked at an option at all because the company has grown from strength to strength. And we keep getting offers, but we have no intention of diluting our stake or selling out.
What is your ambition finally, Abhishek, with Radico? I mean, when you look out, say, 7, 8 years or even 10 years, I mean, what's your vision? Where do you want to take Radico?
See, what I feel, the way how the company has progressed in the last 2 decades, now I feel it's the time for Radico. And luckily now we do not have any balance sheet pressure or any pressure of finance. So I think in the next 5 to 7 years, we want to create brands which the world would acknowledge, like what has happened with our Rampur, Jaisalmer, and we'll keep increasing our premiumization drive. And as far as the margins as you go higher, your margin also increases. So we definitely would like to get into the 20s as far as our margin goes.
Okay. Well, good luck with that, Abhishek. It was lovely talking to you today, and I wish you all the best with Radico in the years to come. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Udayan. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.